My husband came to terms with his passing away, and I just can't deal with it. I have been married to my husband for over 10 years. We met when I was 24 at a club. Ever since I knew him, he could never accept any health damage. He fell from a ladder about 2 meters or so and went into the hospital just because I insisted. When he was 25, he started to complain about his knee hurting really badly when he bent it. It took me 5 years to send him to the doctor over this. He ended up having surgery, after which he was supposed to rest for 2 months. After 2 weeks, he was back to working out and jogging. 2 years ago, he was diagnosed with leukemia. He immediately stopped smoking after the diagnosis and worked out even more than before, which boosted his health. It didn't help at all, and last month his health went downhill. He got all pale, and he got weak to the point where I had to help him upstairs on a few occasions. 2 days ago, while dining, our daughter asked him if he could take her hiking to the Alps next year. He just said something along the lines of, "I'm not sure if I'll still be around by that time." I still held my cool. After that, our daughters left to go to sleep, and I blew up on him. I just started screaming. I can't even remember what exactly it was anymore. Something like, "From the moment I met you, you never gave in to any health condition. You always overcame everything. And now, from out of nowhere, you accept your own ending." Normally, he would raise his voice at me, saying, "We are not animals in this house, so we will not scream at each other." But not then. He just glared into the corner of the kitchen and said nothing. And when his eyes started watering, my heart shattered into thousands of pieces. In that moment, I knew I had only a short time left with the love of my life, and I will forever regret blowing up at him. Edit, I apologized for everything. He told me I didn't even have to, that it's only natural, and that stages of grief are a real thing. To all the people saying he deserved it because he was smoking, I hope you never have to go through something like this. At first, I didn't even want to edit anything here, but seeing how many people showed their sympathy, I needed to say thank you to all of you. We had a long talk today, and I decided to arrange bucket list days for him so he can enjoy the last few months he has. Relevant comments. Alanamil. Ask your husband to write letters to your children so they have something to keep from him and reread. Make sure he tells them how much he loves them. My husband passed away at 49. He had cancer. I wish he had done that for our daughter. He has been gone for almost 20 years, and she never got over it because the last time she told him good night, he did not tell her he loved her. Parents, for Pete's sakes, always tell your children that you love them. OOP replied, "This is actually so nice. I will totally tell him to do this, even though it seems like our daughters are much stronger than I ever could have been." Update. Hello Reddit. I haven't really had the intention to post on here again, but my therapist thought it might be therapeutic to do so since it helped the last time. My kids are with my late husband's parents, so I've had some wine to give me the will to actually write this down. As you might have guessed from my previous text, it happened. My husband passed away about half a year ago, and I miss him so damn much. I've wanted to thank all of you who suggested grief counseling. Me, my late husband, and our 2 daughters attended about 2 months after my original post. And without it, we would most likely be more destroyed than we currently are. I also wanted to thank the person who suggested that my husband film videos for our daughter's life goals. We together made some videos for their graduation, marriage, first child, and other major life goals. It actually took us much longer than it could have because it was just too hard for us. The realization that our life together was over was just so hard. If the text doesn't make sense, I'm very sorry. I'm crying with every word I write, and I take breaks so the text might be unreadable. I will try to correct any mistakes. Now to the happy part. Before the love of my life got really bad, we tried to do as many things from his bucket list as possible. I've never thought I could enjoy so many things I wouldn't care for otherwise. Like MMA. It was his passion for such a long time, but he never actually saw any fight in person. We finally went to the castle in the center of our city for the first time after living here for 6 years. We never had the time. Now that we had all the time in the world for ourselves and our kids, we traveled a lot. And we went to see Stonehenge, such a curious sight. After that, we went to see the fjords, which fascinated him so much, and we went to see the northern lights too. It was just so beautiful. We couldn't stay long anywhere so we could get back for my husband's therapy, and the girls had to go to school. We also got to see the Colosseum and some other great sights. I hated myself for quite some time after the events of my last post. When he was still alive, he mentioned it only once, told me not to worry about it, that it was just the silent thoughts said out loud, and that he doesn't want me to ever worry about it again or he'll haunt me. Some of you might think that it was not nice, but we used to have a specific humor, and we have one rule in our house: as long as it's funny, it's allowed, and if the person who is the butt of the joke finds it funny, it's okay. He got really bad about a month before passing. I mean, when we were traveling, he was in a wheelchair, but that was only for the long walks, and the last month he already couldn't move without it. I hated to see him in that state. It hurt both me and our daughters. It was just so painful. And I also saw his pain in his eyes. He was so angry that he couldn't go his own way. Euthanasia is not legal where we live. He was always pro. I didn't used to be. But now that I saw how much pain he was in, I would do anything just for him to feel better. He deserved to choose his own way out. What he didn't deserve was to spend his last days in pain or on drugs. In his last moments, our whole family was with him, with my parents and in-laws too. In one of his last moments, he told us all how much he loved us. I tried to be so strong for our girls, and I was. We stayed together until after his funeral. After seeing him lifeless, I broke down, knowing that it's all over, but at least he didn't feel any more pain. I will never forget you, Patrick. I will forever love you. You were my light in this dark world. You were the fire that kept me from freezing. Now I will try to be as good of a support as you were to me and to our daughters, who love you so much. Relevant comments. This is 239. I am so sorry for your loss. I, too, am a young widow. Cancer struck at 31, and he was gone in 10 months. Our marriage wasn't perfect, but I'd loved him since 9th grade. I didn't know how I was going to live without him. It literally takes one day at a time. Sometimes it took going hour by hour. Let me see if I can go this hour without crying. Then I made it through the day without crying. Then a week. It's been over 11 years, and some days are still hard. It took a long time to date again. But I am finally in a wonderful and stable relationship. It took me 10 years to find him. You are a strong woman and a great mother to your kids. The love stays with you. Take your time to grieve, and I hope that the life you live from here on out is a beautiful one. OOP replied, I know I still have a long way ahead of me. I had such a long time to prepare for this, and yet I feel like I still have no idea where to go from here. The hardest thing for me was when my late husband wanted to talk about the post-me future. I knew that it was necessary. And thanks to it, I have at least some sense of direction, but I feel like the world will never be the same again.